What's up, Frank?
Hey, what's up, Tino?
Man, it sucks that we did this a couple nights ago and it did not work out. So here we are going to go again, man. And like I said, man, last time we did this, I was so pumped up by you, brother. Like, oh, I couldn't sleep. I was so excited. I was so pumped up, man. So hopefully, we can relive that whole conversation all over again, man.
Absolutely, man. No worries.
How we started last time was, man, how did you, when did you start jiu-jitsu and how did you start?
It was like 45 years old. I mean, I'm 48 now. It was just a few years ago. And I used to wrestle in high school a little bit. Well, a little bit. I wrestled in high school. I wrestled a little bit in college. But, you kind of get away with things. Life takes a hold of you. You start working and things like that afterwards. I dropped out of college. And, so come back here, you start working out again, trying to get healthy. And I saw the place open up down the street. I walked in and, kind of rekindles that fire a little bit. You kind of watching the guys, you're like, I think I could do this. And so I signed up. And to be real honest with you, it was hard to get back into it, but it felt so good. Every day I went home, I kind of had that feeling. It just kind of wakes up all those juices again, from when you were younger. And yeah, I loved it. And, the number one thing that I guess I just didn't realize how much I missed it was just the camaraderie, the brotherhood at Gracie Barra. It was a new school. And so it was a lot of white belts, mostly white belts. And it was just a great atmosphere. Professor Murillo really created a great atmosphere for us to learn, telling us the stories about, when Gracie Barra first began and how they trained and how Master Carlos would be on the mats and just kind of preaching at them and philosophizing. And it was a lot of fun. You really learned about the culture of it all too. So, but yeah, man, you just loved it right away. I mean, hey, listen, anybody watching this, you started, you're a white belt, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You get in there, you go home, you're watching the videos and you come home and maybe some days you feel beaten, but you're like, man, tomorrow, let's get back at it tomorrow. You can't wait. You work all day and you're like, how was your day? You're like, it's okay. I got to go to jiu-jitsu, and that's the way I was. I just wanted to go. I couldn't wait. My kids would train with me as well. And so we just had a great time. And I love it, man. What an unbelievable sport.
Yeah, man. Professor Meru, man, he is one of those fun, awesome old school guys. Like, he would tell a lot of stories about him and the Gracies and him and, the original Gracie Barra, man. And I was just blown away. Just like, man, that is so cool. So, man, Professor
the old school, that's the best word to describe it. He was really old school. And I remember he used to yell sometimes, man, being a wrestler, you like to play that kind of takedown game. And so he'd see you tired and kind of late, and he'd go, Bayeni de Baja, man. And I didn't know what it meant. Like, what is that? He goes, man, it just means like go crazy. Just like shoot the crazy double. Like, it was like not technique so much, just get in there, And so I joke, I used to walk around my house with the kids when they're doing their chores. So I go, come on, man, Bayeni de Baja, let's go. Like, what are you talking about? But yeah, man, he was just a real firecracker, man. He was a lot of fun and just always had a great story. I would say that's the best. One of his best aspects of him is his speeches at the end of practice. And I'll tell you my favorite one. He talked about, and I forget her name now, but he talked about this in 1984 in Los Angeles, and this famous marathon. Well, she wasn't even famous, but this marathon runner. She's famous now. And she's running the marathon, and she gets towards the end. She's probably a couple miles out, and she's hitting a wall, a major wall. And she can barely put one leg in front of the other. And she's just stumbling in. Now, she was one of the last people in. Everybody else had already crossed. She enters this LA stadium. She comes in and she's literally like a newborn deer, just barely putting one leg in front of the other.
Okay.
And everybody is cheering. They're going crazy. She's wheeling herself across that finish line. And he said, remember this, man. I cannot tell you who won the gold medal, but I can tell you about this woman, Gabrielle. I forget her name. Gabrielle Schmidt, I think. Gabrielle, man, she finished the race. I'll never forget it. It's very inspiring. And he just told the story. I went home and I Googled who this woman was. And it's pretty amazing. So Google it. Gabrielle, put, marathon runner. You'll see a bunch of stories and a bunch of inspirational videos. But it's pretty amazing. And I remember telling that speech, and And I came back the next day. I said, yes, man, I watched the video. Like, I always do the Brazilian accent. And I like, it's not in making fun of them. It's always, I embrace the culture. So I joke around a lot. And I go, hey, man, what are you talking about? I watched the Gabriel run the race. Man, he's the best. And he would laugh. And, he just called me the crazy Italian. So, but that was my favorite part, is just the speeches after practice, man. He was great at it. And there's so many of them. But that was one of my favorites.
Oh, man, you kind of hit something I wanted to ask you about. It's the inspiration part. For most, people who are not fortunate, to live and work, get to do a living right now as jiu-jitsu, you're along with, many others who actually have to have a full-time job and kids and life while still doing jiu-jitsu and still having that passion. So, man, where do you find that passion, for the days like everybody else was tired and had a long day or a bad day at work, that you still would come in and still train?
Well, I'll tell you a story. Since I joined jiu-jitsu, one thing I've said is no matter what day my birthday is, I'm going to make sure I train that day too. And so I always train on my birthday. And I would always train. I try to train 3 or 4 days a week. Now I'm an older guy. I tried to pace myself a little bit. Beginning of 2019, I had some personal stuff go on. And one of the first things I did, I kind of came up with a plan, said I need to do some things to get myself through this. And one of the things was to train more and not less. And so I got in the gym and I trained over 300 days. The only days I wasn't in there was days that I had to work and I just couldn't get in there. But I trained up basically almost every day. And I don't compete a lot. But when I compete, I always try to give a reason why I'm competing. It's not for me. I try to make it for someone else or something else. Okay. And, I think that's honestly, that's something. And competing in general, when I first joined up, I remember telling Professor Meru, I'm not going to ever compete. And he would tell me, he'd be like, oh, come on, man. Same age, same weight class, man. You can do this. You can do this. And I said, nah, that'll probably never been me. And he had to leave for visa issues. He had to go back to Brazil for like 4 months. And he sent his friend, Professor Neva, out. And Neva, man, the classes went from being big classes with 20 or 30 people to 4. And the reason is because he was a tough guy. He is a tough guy. He runs a tough class. And I remember saying, man, but nobody's coming to practice. I kept coming more. I loved it. And he says, man, it's quality, not quantity, my friend. Let's go. He'd always call me, my friend, let's go. And we trained hard, man. He would show you the techniques. He would do the things. And then be like, okay, specific training. Okay, competition training. Okay, we're going to spar now. I'd start class at 6 o'clock. I wouldn't get home till 10:30 at night. I'm like, all these things are the same thing. We're just beating the hell out of each other for, 3.5, 4 hours. And it was, but he made me tough. And I remember he encouraged me to do a tournament. I was towards the end of my white belt. I had my 4th stripe. And he said, just do this tournament, man. Him and Jordan Weisman. If you know Jordan Weisman, man, unbelievable competitor, man. Unbelievable. Yeah. And, they said, man, do this. And so I did it. And I dedicated it to my then wife. I went out there and I won a gold medal. It was tough. It was hard. The guys that I was going against had been training longer. But, I always joke and say, man, but they were training at another gym. They weren't training at GB. And GB is a different way. And so I love it for that. They really do teach you the basics first and really build you up. And I had to win the last 20 seconds. And I'll tell you another story. Neva's sitting there watching, and my son is recording. My 18-year-old, our 17-year-old son he's recording with his phone. He grabs the phone. He says, turn the phone over here, man. I want to tell you, I'm fighting out there now. He goes, this is the strongest Italian in all of Arizona, man. This is the guy. I love the Frank, man. Pizza for everyone. He's screaming. He's going nuts that I won this thing, right? And I'm laughing. I'll never forget. I watched the video. I said, man, this is freaking great. I don't even care about watching my fight, just watching his face and how excited he was. And that's the kind of passion you're talking about. Those Brazilians, man, they bring it, man. It's a love. They love what they do, man. And they make you love it too. So we warm up on the mats. And I joke and start walking for the back door. And he goes, where are you going? I said, man, we're so tough. We compete in the parking lot with a broken glass on the asphalt. We warm up here. We go out there. And it was just, that's just the way he was. And
Yeah.
when Murillo came back, I remember Jordan Gummy goes, "Hey man, did you tell Murillo that you won the gold medal?" I said, "No." "Did you tell him you were the champion?" I said, "No, you tell him." And he went and told him, and I was going to get my blue belt anyway, but he says, "Man, you earned this. You really earned this. I'm proud of you." Because he said, you know, because I told him I was never going to compete.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, he always encouraged me. And you listen, if you're not motivated doing jiu-jitsu, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really, you need to just go in there every day. The days you don't want to go, they used to say that's the day you have to go.
Yeah.
The days you want to go, those are the easy days. You go on those other days, that is when you get better mentally and spiritually, because now you know you're going no matter what. You can't talk yourself out of it. You're not going to allow yourself. So yeah, so that's go. They always say you get 1% better every time you go. That year that I went, people were like, "Man, you got so much better in 2019. How did you do that?" I said, "Well, it's easy. You get 1% better. I went over 300 days. That's 300% better." So it's easy math. And, you know, I was a nail a lot of those days. And on those nail days, you look, you know, that I say nail. You're a hammer or a nail, right? Some days you're going in there, you're pounding somebody. Some day you're the one getting pounded. But when you go in there and you look for that one thing, say, "Man, you know what? I had a bad day today, but I got that sweep. That one time on that guy that I know is good." Grasp onto that. Look at the things you got to work on, but hold on to something positive and walk out there and say, "Tomorrow I work harder." That's it. It's that easy, man. Just get in the gym. Just keep going. I promise you, you'll regret sitting at home. You'll never regret going to the gym.
For sure, man. Man, you know, I came from Gracie Barra, Tucson, and you know, we didn't have any Brazilians at the time until we had Professor Drive In. But man, even then, you know, the spirit up here with all the guys on the project up here in Arizona, you know, the Armor Project. And when I moved up here, I was fortunate enough to be with Professor Victor. And Professor Victor, as we know, is a strong individual. And and man, he really gave me the kind of extra push that I need to for my jiu-jitsu. Is like, man, because before when I would do jiu-jitsu, it's like, hey, this is just a sport, you know, it's just a hobby, you know, like, hey, good luck. But now, man, he has that mentality and it just rubbed off. And I got like, no, man, you come every day to go Pajada, like every single day. And then when I started doing the comp training up here with all the guys, and you see all of them, like, man, this is what we live for. And so, man, I'm really, really glad, you know, this is kind of like the Mecca right now for Arizona and for a lot of talent to come here, man. And we're fortunate to know a lot of these people, you know, like Murillo. Man, the best advice he gave me one time was, I forgot what the discussion was about, but he told me, he says, "Man, would you rather trust, if you're going to fly into a bad storm, would you rather fly with a pilot who's his whole total career has flown in great weather, or do you want a pilot who's flown through storms before?" And I was like,
one of those Murillo moments, man. You got to love that.
Man, that's amazing.
But you know what he used to always say? I'd say, "Man, what if the plane was going down?" He'd say, "Man, I'm a black belt." I tell the pilot, "Get out of the way, man. I'm going to fly the plane. Don't worry about it." It was always his joke. He's like, "Man, I'm a black belt. I can do anything. I cook. I'm the chef. I go back in the restaurant. I cook the meat. It's okay, man. Don't worry. Surgeon, I do my own stitches. No worries, man. I fix it." Yeah, he was a special. He is a special guy. We talk about like he's dead. He just left. He's just in California. I miss the guy.
Yeah, man. Well, man, so you've been a purple belt now for what, a month or so, month and a half?
Yeah, I just got that thing. Yeah.
Man. So, I mean, so now that you're a purple belt, you know, looking back through your journey, what are some of the biggest, you know, accomplishments or achievements, or, you know, some of the hard difficulties of jiu-jitsu that you've overcame that you can look back now since you're a purple belt?
I get a little emotional. I mean, you were there when I gave my purple belt speech. You know, at Phoenix, they let us, when you get a belt promotion, they let you do a little speech. We had a lot of guys doing it, so it was just a minute long. But, you know, 2019, my biggest accomplishment, 2019, I won No-Gi Worlds. That's not about me. That's a we thing. Man, it's not a me thing. It's a we thing. It was a team effort. But I'll tell you, you know, we were talking about when do you go to the gym. I got some very bad, you know, I had some personal stuff go on. I found out literally the first day of 2019. I always say it was the worst day of my life. And you know where I was the next day? At the gym. And I went and I trained. And you know where I was the day after that? I was at the gym. I went and trained. And that's why I trained over 300 days. I said, I didn't want to lay on a couch and cry to somebody about, my problems. I said, I'd rather go and just train with my brothers. And, by the end of that year, I dedicated all that training. I said, I'm going to do this for my kids. And I want my kids to see their father. So what a unique opportunity. You see your father so broken and literally just broken. I just don't know another way to describe it. And I said, by the end of this year, they're going to see their father a champion. And so it's not about the medal, it wasn't. I always said, you kids, you mean the world to me. So I won the world for you. And I always give the medals away. I always dedicate it to somebody. So I was glad when I won the gold medal and I was more proud of, I took a silver in the absolute, but the absolute's so much more difficult. And I was so much more proud of that because I wasn't satisfied. I watched my kids when I took that gold medal, and I knew I was going to do the absolute before I went. And I promised myself I was going to do it. Took a picture with it because they wanted to take a picture with it. I shoved it in my backpack and they said, where are you going? I said, I got to go sign up for the absolute.
Yeah.
And they saw their father pick that gold medal that he worked all year for. Said, no time to celebrate. Let's go. We got to go get another one. And it was a proud moment for me because, when we were driving back, my boys were with me, and my girls didn't get to go. I have 4 kids, but my boys were with me, and my oldest son looked at me and he's like, man, I'm just so proud. And
that's awesome.
It gets me worked up now, and that was back in December. But that is my most proudest achievement. And when I came back, just the appreciation that I got from my teammates and all the guys that helped me get there, man, I tell you, when you have the Brazilians coming up to you and telling you how proud they are of you, and that I just don't know how it gets any better. You're top right there. You just feel that brotherhood, just that I was just felt so embraced. I sat there on Monday. We didn't get home till like 2:30 in the morning, and just sitting there all day. I was sore. I was tired, and just the calls and the texts and the messages, man, it was literally hundreds and hundreds. And I'll tell you, the night before, Murillo, he won the world championship black belt the night before, and I was so proud of him. And I never seen him emotional ever. And he always said, man, I'm a black belt. I don't get emotional. But he was fine when he got off the mat after winning. It was a tough match. I had my hands on I was like this. I thought he was going to lose. And he just kept the Pohada coming. And when he came out into the little area there when you walk off and he saw us standing there, man, he broke down. And I gave him a hug, and he says, and he just said this. I remember he says, for so long, I was second place. So long. And today, I'm a champion. And it really meant a lot to him for more than just those reasons. It was personal reasons for his family. He was going to open his own gym, and he hadn't won a world championship since he was a blue belt when he was much younger. So the funny story I'm going to tell you is, so we're walking around the next day, the day I'm going to fight, and people are walking up to him like he's a celebrity, man. He's like he's a pop star. They're walking there, excuse me, man, professor, man, I'm so happy for you, so proud of you. He's like, yes, thank you very much, man, I appreciate it. And we're walking around. He goes, man, do well today, Frank. These two can be you. I was just laughing so hard. It was great. But that's the way he was, man. He liked to lighten the mood. He didn't put himself up. He's letting you know, hey, man, you can do this too. This is not about me now. Today is your day. And but yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. I tell you, I could tell stories about Murillo all day. Just a great guy. Everybody, I think when you have a professor like that in your life, you embrace that and you never want to let that go. And so I know that if I ever need anything, I know I can call him. Yeah. And we have that special relationship, and even more so because of that championship, because he won and I won, that same time, and he was very proud of that. To get me to that point, in 2018, the year before, Murillo came to me, and I thought he was making fun of me. And he said, hey, why don't you do No-Gi Worlds, man? It was just like in September or something like that, 2018. I said, man, what are you kidding me? I thought he was kidding. I won as a white belt, then I was a blue belt, and I lost the first and only tournament I did as a blue belt. And he says, man, come on. You can do it. And I said, you're making fun of me. What the? He kept doing it every day. And I said, fine. I'll do it if you train me. He said, done. All I know is by the next day, his entire schedule changed, and he added like a bunch of no-gi classes, and we already had somebody. He's like, no, man, you better be here. We're going to do this. I said, okay. So I went in, man. I trained hard. And I had a friend of mine that was, I always dedicate the efforts to somebody. I had a friend of mine that was dying of cancer. And she's a young girl. She's a couple years younger than me. And she shouldn't be going through what she's going through. And her mother had died from cancer as well. That's when I met her, actually, 30 years earlier. So I remember saying, fine, this is the fight. I told her I'm going to fight for you. And I don't know what's going to happen, but the effort I'm giving to you. And, I went there and I didn't do well. I kind of went in there and I was like a lamb, I trained hard. I just didn't have the confidence. I didn't compete. I only did a few other tournaments. Now all of a sudden here I'm at Worlds. I was talking to the guys in my bracket after we're weighed in and everything, like, oh, you do this a lot. And I'm like, oh, I've done a few tournaments, and they're doing like tournaments like 2 a month, and I'm like, here I am. I've done like 3. Or I told them, I said, I think at that point, I think that was the third or fourth one. And they said, well, how many no-gi? I go, this is my first no-gi tournament. They said, you do no-gi? This is your first time you go to Worlds? And so they thought, the guy I went against, he thought, oh, he's going to have an easy time. I lost by 2 points. I just lost by a takedown strategy. And I didn't understand, I just didn't understand. Like I said, I went in there tough, didn't really know what I was in for, but I walked out of there and, I said, hey, listen, I did everything I could. Marilla was very proud of me. He's like, I know the time you put in. And he goes, listen, we just get back at it. Yeah. But I walked out and said, at least I knew in my head I belonged there. I could compete at that level. You don't have to. I didn't have to compete in 100 tournaments to say, you know what, I did okay. You know what, I know what I got to fix. And by the next year, like I told you, I had all kinds of motivation. Yeah. I had every reason to quit. A lot of guys would have quit, but I had 4 reasons when I pointed at my children. I had 4 reasons why I could not quit. And they were my motivation. And the next year when I went to that tournament, Murillo, they only allowed black belts down there on the floor. And I weighed in and I'm kind of leaning like Cool Hand Luke against the wall, kind of to the rafters, right? And he's over there. He's kind of down he was talking to Gigantino over there from Texas. And so he's sitting there, he's talking to me. He looks over at me. And I remember I just gave him this wink, like, and he said to me later, he goes, I knew you were going to do well then. He goes, I knew that it was totally different. Like, you were ready. You were like, I was like, I didn't care, man. I said, I've done everything I can do. Let's do this, man. I'm ready. Let's go. And so, yeah, it was, like I said, there's plenty of those 300 days that I didn't want to go in. Plenty of days I was hurting. Plenty of days I was tired. I went. Put the time in.
So now, unfortunately with this whole, virus thing that's going on, a lot of us have now switched over to, all of us practically have switched over to now virtual online training, and, it's already a job or what's a good word? It's basically hard for people to push themselves already to go into, to the mats. But, what do you think is, keeping people now motivated to still training online? And then how could we, get somebody to get more motivated to train online?
I'm glad you brought that up. But I'll say this. Jiu-jitsu is about solving problems in uncomfortable situations. The whole world is in an uncomfortable situation. You got to look in the mirror and you got to ask yourself, am I going to stop? You have an excuse. Like I had an excuse. Listen, I could have quit. No one was going to fault me if I quit for the reasons I had. But if you have kids, you understand. If you don't, think about if you ever watched your father quit. What is that message does that send? When you look in the mirror, do you want to look in the mirror? You want to see a guy say, man, yeah, I quit. Professor Bruner always says something, goes, do you want to be a guy that used to train jiu-jitsu or do you want to be a black belt? Because a black belt doesn't stop just because he's down 15 points. Look for the kill. Find a way out. I remember Professor Victor. You mentioned Professor Victor. Professor Victor was going against one of the great champions of the world. And I remember this I didn't get to watch the match. Remember that I told you about that blue belt match that I lost? Yeah, I was on the mat next to him. No one was really watching me. But he was losing like 20-something to nothing. I mean, he was getting killed. And he got up, and he got him to open guard, and he jumped, did a flying triangle, and the guy, he was going, and he scooted himself off the mat because he knew he was going to get tapped. And then that guy got DQ'd. And I remember we had so many people there. They were going crazy. It was unbelievable. But it's never over. It's never over. And I don't know if that was one of his great victories, but I know that I look at that and go, man, I don't care if I'm ever down by points. This is a sport where you can find a way and finish the man. And that's what we teach, man. So when you're training, you could quit. You could find a way. You could say, man, I don't get the same out of it. You can look in the mirror, make the excuses. Or you could find a way to get better. And I'll tell you one way that I challenge my guys and say, listen, when we're doing the drills in the virtual class, do them on your weak side. Don't ever do them on your strong side. Work on your weak side. This is a time where you can get stronger where you are weakest. Because let's face it, when we go to train, we don't want to lose. No one wants to work their weak side because some guy's going to smash them or pass them or whatever they're going to do. But if you work your weak side now, you have an opportunity. There's no one there. Drill it. Drill it. And when the class is over, before you go home or before you go to bed, drill it again. If you're not sweating during those classes, that's on you. Because I'm teaching those classes. And I'll tell you what, I'm dripping wet when I'm done.
Yeah.
So you got to put a certain amount on you. That said, too, when you do the class, get your brothers in there, man. Guilt them in there. Get them in the class. Man, let me tell you, I know every one of these guys, to put this together, they had a lot of sleepless nights. And they didn't know exactly how it was going to turn out. But in a matter of a week, they figured out a way to teach you jujitsu through your computer through an uncomfortable time. They could have lied down. A lot of other guys, I know guys, other gyms and stuff, not Gracie Barra, but other guys, they just kind of said, well, whatever happens, happens. What are we going to do? How can we do that? And some of those guys will say something like, how can Gracie Barra do that? And I'll tell you this, it works. You find a way. So you got to ask yourself, do you want to get better during this time, or you just want to take a break for a month? You want to take a break for a month? Take a break. But look in the mirror, man. Look deep inside your heart and decide, am I going to figure this out? Am I going to try to get better? Who do I want to be? And ask yourself that. Listen, I'm not going to judge people, okay? I get it, man. All I know is everybody's going through a hard time now. A lot of people losing their jobs. There's a lot of stresses, a lot of pressures. This isn't the time to stop. This is the time you should probably train more. So that's what I would encourage you. I would encourage you that, have you really given it a chance? Have you, I talk to guys, they're like, I'm not really getting much out of it. And I go, man, I'm teaching that because I'm watching you. You're not really giving it what you can. I know you're better than this, man. That's the thing, is when guys are better than that. So I would encourage you to drill your weak side, do more drills after the class is over. Man, get stronger. Get your core strong. Your core. Get your flexibility better. Flexibility. Dude, this is something you can work on. Drilling on your weak side. These are all things you can do. Make it part of your normal routine. And if you do that, you come back, your body will be ready to just pick up where you left off. So I would just encourage you.
I think that's a good point that you hit on, man. Ever since I got my brown belt, I've noticed, looking back through my jiu-jitsu journey, it's like there's a lot of accountability in this martial art. If you're going to put in the mat time, for sure, you're going to get better. And it goes along with other things too, but accountability is for, a huge part of this, this martial art. And so basically you just, hit it right on the point. They have to be accountable for themselves at home and like, hey, is this serious? Do you really want to do this? Do you still want to, for whatever goals, whatever you had when you walked into the door and signed up, how important is it to you? Because now it's the most important time where you need to stick with it in these hard times.
There's a mentality. Someone told me a long time ago. They said, do you want to be that guy that when it's time to spar, you kind of put your head down, try to sneak off the mat? Or do you want to be known as that guy that he's going to turn around, he's going to go up there and pick the biggest guy and say, let's go? Yeah. Not that I'm this big, strong guy. Austin. I remember when Austin first got there. Austin Baker is a monster. All right, literally trying to take him down is like trying to take down a freaking oak tree. Yeah. So, but as an old man, I remember when he first came in, a lot of guys were shying away from him. And I walk up and go, let's go. You want to roll? And I'd roll with them. And every day for a week, I did that. I mean, first roll, last roll, whatever, man. He goes, you want to go again? I said, yeah, let's go. I didn't care. And I was tired. I was sore. And I wasn't getting anywhere with him. I was a nail. So I knew you step in there, you're getting hammered for freaking 5, 6, 7 minutes, whatever it is. But by the end of that week, he asked me a question. He goes, man, why you come at me so hard, man? Like he thought I didn't like him. And I looked at him and I remember saying to him, I said, I want to earn your respect. And he gave me a big hug. He goes, you have done that. You are a guy I truly respect that, you just come after it. And that means a lot. He's a young guy. He's a strong guy. But, that's what you do is it's a mentality. And the other mentality is I promised myself I wasn't going to be off the mat until everybody else was off the mat. So I would look around. And so when I'd see other white belts out there, and I was just a blue belt at the time, but when you look at those white belts, they'd look around, they'd feel like they were getting beat up. And I'd sit there and we have a little resenha, man. I only know a little bit of Portuguese. Porrada, everybody knows porrada. And resenha, man. And the resenha is after practice. Technically it means the review, but it's just you sitting around and just kind of shooting the bull with the guys. And I'm sitting there with those couple of those white belts, and they feel like, man, you beat me up today, man. Frank, I just feel like I'm not getting better. I look at him, I said, hey, look around. I said, who else is here? And they said, it's just me and you. And I go, yeah, you're getting better. Don't worry about it. And I always have a saying when we train on Sunday mornings. Guys would complain it was too early in the morning. We get up at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. Guys want to, they don't want to go that early. But I always joke and say, man, warriors prepare while their enemy sleeps. And I'd say it all the time. And you know what they say now because we can't train on Sundays? They say, don't worry. Our enemies are still sleeping. We're mildly awake. We're just trying to have a little cup of coffee. So, yeah, listen, something else I'll challenge you with is when you do these, keep up with the Zoom classes. Give it a shot. When I used to wrestle in high school, I wasn't like a super talented guy. I'm actually, honestly, in a lot of ways, I'm better now than I was when I was a kid. Probably because I have a little more heart because you've been through some more stuff, Yeah. But mental reps. People are like, what is that? I remember I had a psychology teacher that taught me kind of get into a relaxed state. You're not hypnotizing yourself, but getting into a relaxed state and then literally drilling in your mind over and over. What's the word? Like, you have a hard time with takedowns? Drill in your mind, shooting a perfect single leg takedown. Every time, perfect. And if it's not perfect, push it aside. Put it in the trash folder and go and make a perfect one. And over and do it 20 times before. It literally means nothing to you. There's no energy, no effort. You just concentration. It's a focus. And you will be surprised at how much that will help. But you can do that. You don't need a sparring partner for that. You don't need a computer for that. You don't need your battery plugged in. You don't. You just need a little time before you go to bed. Say, you know what? Let me drill this position. Yeah. But, it's things like that. Drill your weak side. Do some mental reps. And really do these classes. Stay engaged. Because I guarantee you the students that stay engaged now, those are the ones that are going to advance when we come back. Because listen, we're not that far away. This is only for a short while.
For sure.
Do you want to be the guy that's catching up? I don't want to be that guy. When I always joke that I have Master Carlos Gracie's phone number. I like to text him every now and again. I always joke and say, hey, man, I don't get dots on my card anymore, man. I just call Master Carlos. He says, man, gold stars for Frank all day. Give Frank the gold stars, man. Let's go. No dots. Don't waste the dots on Frank. But, think about these guys, what they did. They never stopped. When you go to Brazil, like my good friend, he went to Brazil to Murillo's camp down there. And he said, man, those guys, they go in early in the morning. They train. They hang out, they train, they go home, they eat, they come back, they hang out, they train. It's just never ending thing. It's a lifestyle. Now listen, we in America, I get it. We got to work. We got to feed our kids. I get it. No one's telling you, going to fault you for working hard. But especially for guys, for me, I know that over the course of, my marriage, you give a lot away. You give a lot away to your wife and your kids. You give it all away to your business, your job. You give it all away. And then you turn around, you're 40-something years old, and you're like, where am I? You don't even recognize yourself anymore. You're just taking a little bit of time for yourself. I think everybody needs a little bit to be who you are, to be the man that your wife fell in love with, to be the father that your kids they want to look up to. You want to be the son that your father is proud of, you know? Take a little bit, this is for you. Take a little bit for yourself. Give yourself a little bit of sanity. You'll be better for it in the long run. Everything in balance. I understand. My balance got out of whack because if I didn't, I always joke. It didn't take very long before Meech gave me a key to the gym, because the truth is, I said, if you don't let me come here and train, you're going to start finding bodies around the neighborhood. Because I was just in a bad way, man, just going through stuff. And this was my therapy for sure. And I think for a lot of people, man, the people that love it, if it's not your therapy, it can be. It's very spiritual. I'm a very religious guy. I don't want to say religious, but I'm a good Christian guy. So I go to church on Sunday, and and I pray. And I always say this: jiu-jitsu isn't my religion, but it is very spiritual for me. It makes me better. It enhances all my beliefs. It makes me feel better. It gives me. Everybody relates sports to their life, and football, it's a game of inches. It's life, basketball. Yeah, those take great disciplines, but I think jiu-jitsu is just a way, it's just so different. I mean, guys are trying to choke you. It's mock murder, and I don't know what other sport in the world where a guy tries to choke you, and if he doesn't do it right, you come up and you tell him how he can do it better. Man, good job, man, but you got to get a little deeper on this side and make sure you bring your elbows in so you can get the choke all the way. Who does that? You want him to choke you better next time? Yeah, I do, because I'm going to get better for it. And, but yeah, man, you don't want to be that guy that's falling behind. Be that guy when you come back, man, that you are pushing forward. That is your lesson in life, is to keep pushing forward. Are we going to let this virus stop everything? No, I say no, man. And you know what Gracie Barra said? They said, hell no. They ain't going to do that. They got right on it, and they put together a program that they can be proud of and that you can be proud of. Now it's up to you. I can't make you do it. I'm just encouraging you. I'm not going to guilt you into doing it. Man, I know stuff is going on right now, and people got things going on in their lives. So do I. Listen, I'm going to probably lose my business over this. But look, I'm still smiling. Because what's more important? We always tell ourselves, is the money important? Is the success important? What do you consider success? Where's your strength? When I come out of this, I'm going to come out of this and say, I did my very best. I worked very hard. And though some doors may close, I will kick open other doors when this thing comes back. And it will. And, I don't say this to be cocky or overly confident, but I plan on winning another world championship this year, maybe 2. I'm going to win gi worlds and no gi worlds. And I'm going to train and be ready for it. And if I don't win it, that's okay. But I'm going to put everything I can into it. I'm going into it like I know I can compete there. I know I can. And, I was telling Tina, remember we were talking about this the other day? And I said, the best part about when I came back was how many people said they wanted to do it next year. I said, man, that's what it's all about. You just start inspiring people, not because you want to be great, but because you want pick other people up. All boats rise with the high tide, right? Hey, I'm coming up. Yeah, come with me. Let's go. But you can't do it. But if it's a month, that's 30 days. Turn around. Listen, August, I don't know if they're going to change the dates for it, but Gi Worlds is in August. It's not that far away. Gi Worlds, no Gi Worlds, December. It's not that far away. I've got a lot of work to do. I plan on working hard and finding a way. And I tell you this, my weak side is going to get stronger. I'm going to go through my mental reps. I'm going to find a way to get better. Find a way. Just find a way, man. Don't stop.
Yeah, man. I mean, my job is to talk to a lot of students, and to hear a lot of hardships that are going on. And that's the only thing it says, man, do not stop. Even though, we don't have the mats here and we don't have the whole team in front of each other, but nothing has changed. I mean, Gracie Barra, the top guys there, have worked tirelessly. I could not even comprehend how many hours they're putting in, trying to bring us, Gracie Barra Jiu-Jitsu as best as they can. They've spent so much time, so many years to perfect, the classes that that you go through. We know we're ICP certified, and now, this is huge challenge now of trying to do this online and bring it in. And man, I can only just impressed and honored to be a part of a team that's worked so hard for students all over the world. to keep the high level of training, to try to keep, the motivation still going on, even though in the world right now is like crazy panic and chaos, and it's an amazing, beautiful thing that we're a part of. Like last time we talked about the brotherhood that we have.
Yeah, you know what? What's funny is like I was watching. You're on Facebook and you start seeing about some of the guys coming up live. You're like, oh, Draculino. You watch, you sit there, you just kind of click in and you're like watching this because you're like. And I was watching it the other day. I said, man, I never saw that shown like that. And then you're sitting there like, man, that's Tussa. I've never seen that detail like that. These are freaking guys. These are the best in the world. And you're just clicking on your phone. And they're sitting there doing it, and they're doing it for you. They're doing it for every one of their students, but they're doing it for every student around the world. And, man, it's like the Smithsonian, man. You have like all this library of all these people and all these teachers just sitting there. All they want you to do is train and get better. If Gracie Barra had 1,000 world champions, man, they would be the happiest people in the world. Let's do 2,000 next year. What do they get out of it? Do they get paid more if they have 1,000 world champions? No. But it's what they want to do. And, being a world champion doesn't, it's not the end of the journey, right? It's just you're on the way. You just keep pushing forward. Otherwise, you say, oh, I won. Hey, quit. For all you guys that are blue belts, you've heard the blue belt blues. Guys, mostly they quit when they get blue belt. And I would encourage you, when you put that thing on, to push through and get to purple. Like I said, I had a lot of reasons I could have quit, and I said, I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to quit. I remember when I walked in, I told Professor Meru, I said, I'm not going to quit until I get my black belt. And if I die before that, me and him had a deal. If I die, he's going to go to my funeral, and he was going to put the black belt in there if I hadn't got it yet. And you know what his response was? This is fine, man. As long as I can keep hitting your card and make sure you keep paying every month, I'll give you the black belt. So, but listen, I'm going to get that. And, I'm halfway there now. So I don't know where you're at in your journey. Don't quit, because you're going to turn around. It felt like yesterday I was a white belt. Yeah. All these stories I'm telling you just felt like yesterday. And, here we are. And I remember when Tino first came in, he was a purple belt. Man, I used to be scared of this guy. He used to beat the crap out of me, right? But, what happened? Tino will say it. All of a sudden, start to go a little longer. And maybe I don't tap as quickly. And maybe I don't get caught as quickly. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, man, now Tino's not laughing so much. Now he's like, oh, I got to go with Frank. That's what you want. That's what he wants, too, because he's going to get better. But, man, I can't take it easy on this guy anymore, man, because Frank's going to freaking come at me hard. We make each other better. We push. We walk up the mountain. Just keep pushing up the mountain, up the mountain. But, if you're going to move a mountain, you can't just go and get a bulldozer push it. You got to pick up one rock, and you carry it to the top. And you keep carrying those rocks to the top. And I'll tell you a story. I'm good. I got a lot of stories for you. So I remember I was going through, just having a little bit of a rough time. You kind of get hard to get motivated. This is when I think this was even before I started doing jiu-jitsu. I don't remember. It might have been just right at the beginning. And I have a mountain over here I can hike. It's 3.5 miles away. It's Camelback Mountain. And it's a tough hike. It's and I would climb it, and I was having a hard time kind of getting myself to go there to do it. And I would do it like 3 or 4 days a week. And I had a bunch of friends kind of came and said, man, you can do it, kind of pumping you up. And I remember a Bible verse, God says you can move mountains, and I, with just a little bit of faith. And so I thought to myself, well, my job is to go to the bottom of that mountain and to start to move it. And so I would take my backpack and I'd put like 5 or 10 rocks in there, good sized rocks. And I'd carry it to the top, and I'd put the rocks at the top. And I do this, and there's people that do this all the time. They say, man, after about a week or so, they're like, I see you here all the time. What are you doing with these rocks? Are you taking these rocks home with you? What are you doing? I said, wow, it's easy. I'm moving this mountain. And they look at me, they go, what are you talking about? I said, I'm moving this mountain. I start picking up rocks down here, and I carry them to the top. And some smart aleck comes up behind me and goes, well, what are you going to do when you get them all to the top? I said, start carrying them down. This mountain ain't going to move itself. God says you can move mountains, but he didn't say he was going to do it for you. He didn't say it was going to take 1,000 years. You got to do your part. So you're on your journey, your jiu-jitsu. You got to do your part. You got to show up. You got to find a way to get better. Find a way to keep moving forward. And more importantly, this is a brotherhood. When the white belts come in, Avondale is a brand new school, so it reminds me a lot of Phoenix when we first opened. And I tell those guys, I said, a professor would be like, hey, Frank, did you have anything you wanted to say to the class? I said, yeah, I do. You know, I don't think you guys realize that you are part of the largest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brotherhood in the world. There has never been a larger group of men and women around the world that are singly focused and have the same training every day. You go, if you look in England or you look in America and you go to, you know, Great Britain, I don't know, wherever, they're teaching the same curriculum that day.
Yeah.
It may be a different detail here and there, but you're learning the same thing that day. And this is, I think, just such a bonding thing. So think about that when you're in these classes, these Zoom classes, it's the same thing. You can actually see it. You can go to the classes in England, in Japan, in Hawaii, in Australia. You could see the class and be like, man, I learned the same thing today. That should be a bonding thing for us. Man, we are stronger together than we are apart. So you have to ask yourself, are you going to be part of the solution or part of the problem? I appreciate that everybody that's not freezing their accounts and things like that, because we want the gyms to be there when we come back, because this is only for a short while. Let's just get through for a short while. But while we're here, let's embrace the opportunities that we have. And whenever this is a lesson in life, whenever you have problems in life, don't look for the blame, look for the opportunities. And Gracie Barra has done just that. They look for the opportunity because, you know, when we do get back, all these things are still going to be there. So it only makes us better. So when you can't make it to class that day, you have no excuse because you have an archive of literally teachers from around the world that you can watch and you can do the class. You're like, I remember when we did this during the virus, man. So look for the opportunities and problems in every problem in life, and you will find yourself being a solution guy instead of Debbie the Downer, you know? So try to find solutions.
All right, man. So now I think it's time for the competition rounds. The competition rounds is where I ask some random hardcore questions, and you just nail them out. All right. So first question.
Do this.
What is your favorite submission?
Rear naked choke.
What is the worst submission to be caught in?
Rear naked choke. The Darce or guillotine, man.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I play a lot of half guard, so that Darce, I got to really avoid that.
All right, so that was gonna be my next question. What's your favorite guard?
Oh, half guard by far.
What is your least favorite guard to be caught in?
I hate being in someone's full guard. I mean, it's just, you're literally stuck there. It's the most boring guard, you know, because I'm going to defend it well. And unless he's freaking black belt, you know, you can really defend a lot and you could stall a lot. And I just hate that. It's just boring for me.
All right. What's your favorite cheat food?
Favorite what?
Cheat food. Like if you're cheating, like your cheat day.
Well, I'll tell you a story.
Let's do it.
So Professor Flavio, after we got back after Worlds, he was in the gym and we're sitting there where he was kind of talking and he's sitting there going, hey man, you want to be a champion? He's telling the bunch of guys, man, you want to be a champion? You've got to train hard every day. You've got to bring the puhana every day. You've got to eat well. You've got to, he's going on all these things. He goes, eat well. And I was standing there looking at him. He goes, Frank, afterwards, he goes, why did you laugh when I said this? I go, well, you know, when I won my world championship this year, 3 days before, I took my kids to White Castles. And he's like, what is these White Castles, man? I said, man, it's these little burgers with lots of onions. And man, I love it. He goes, why do you eat this, man? And because everybody's like, oh, they're gross. And he goes, why do you eat this? I said, it reminds me of home. So I take my kids and because I'm from Chicago originally. And he looks, he goes, man, this is okay. This is your tradition now. White Castles before the championship. I said, yes, this is mine. This is my tradition. Are you going to come with me? He goes, man, I don't know if I want to eat this garbage food now. So, but that is my White Castles burgers, my favorite cheat food.
All right, next.
Not much of a lightning round when I tell stories in between, right?
Yeah. All right, no gi or gi?
No question, no gi. No gi, hands down.
All right, man. Well, that was
the reason why I don't listen. For almost an entire year, that whole year I was training, I trained almost all no-gi, and I just feel like it's like you're just more free to do stuff and take chances. Whereas if you do that in gi, man, it's gonna be over real quick. Someone's gonna grab the lapel and and everything. So yeah, it's just really, I just love it.
Awesome. Well, man, that was it for the competition rounds. I'm gonna have to work on those to come with some more smart questions next time we do this, man. But thank you a lot, Frank. You know, man, you've been busy, man. You've been such a great motivational person around here at GB Phoenix. Now you're, assistant coach over there at GB Avondale. And man, just keep hearing great things about you, man. When I was assistant instructor for Gracie Barra Scottsdale, and you would come, I was like, oh man, like everybody's like, why are you so excited? Who is this guy? Like, this is Frank. Like, Frank is gonna make this training amazing. You guys have no idea. And man, you're such a huge asset and beautiful person of the team, man.
And that means a lot. I really appreciate that, Tino. That's one thing that we didn't kind of touch on. That another great aspect of Gracie Barra is when I was training at 300 days, I was kind of following the no-gi around. So I would train it Monday, GB Scottsdale, and I'd come see Tino, and Professor Jonathan, who really helped me a lot with my game. And then Tuesday, I'd come back to Phoenix, and I'd work with Meech and Austin and you and Murillo and Ryan Wood, man, freaking Foguinho, man. He's the reason why it's hard to guillotine me now, man. He would just guillotine me every time. I'd be shooting a double, and as I'm going down, I'd be like this. He'd laugh. He's like, you're barely getting the double, and I'm sitting there already grabbing for the guillotine. But then on Wednesday, I would go see Coach Lucas Norat for his no-gi class down in Chandler. And, man, and that guy made me so tough because he's a monster. He's a monster. And, guys like that, and just traveling around, because you can't do that in other schools. I literally was going to 3 or 4 different schools in 1 week. Who else can do that? 3 or 4 different instructors. And here's the most important thing is I couldn't compete a lot. So that really helped me. Someone told me, you just do that. You should do that because you get a different look at different games. And they don't know your game, so you see if it works. So, man, just when we get back and you can, travel around some of the other schools. Make those friends, because it was nice when I'd walk in and Tino would say those things, and the guys would be like, oh, and then, guys would come over and they kind of embrace you in. And there's not been one gym that I ever walked in that I did not feel like a brother. It really made me feel good, man. I can't say it enough. And you could do that now on GB Online. You're sitting there going with the Zoom classes. Go follow around, So.
Man, I did a online class this past weekend for Gracie Barra Tucson with Professor Andre and Professor Al. And it was good to see a lot of my old teammates. And at first we're like, hey, how's it going? Like, hey, how you been? So, man, it felt like you were just back in class. It felt like, like you're with your friends, you're with your family, and you're going to get a good workout. You're going to feel great afterwards. And man, it was really awesome afterwards.
Yeah, I thought it's so interactive. Like they're sitting there like, hey, Tino's here. Hey, Frank, what's going on? And they made it more than just watching videos.
Yeah.
And to be able to communicate and say, Professor, I have a question. When you did that, do you find you do this? And then they're like, because, these guys are so good. Everybody, when you start showing people how to do stuff, you skip over things because you automatically do it. Yeah. And so when you stop and ask the question, like, I'm sorry, I skipped over that detail. Let me show you this one more time. And they go to that detail. And it's something that's, they do it all the time. Maybe not everybody does it, but that small detail. And you're like, now it all makes sense. Now I get it. And I'll give you another story. So I never taught the kids classes until I got this job. And so I never knew about the, turn the wheel. You teach the kids to turn the wheel, right? So I remember Professor, he showed, we're doing it. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. I wonder if this would work in real life. So I'm sparring against one of the guys, and Professor was watching, and I turned the wheel, and I got there. He goes, he started laughing because, so even the kids class, you can get something from it. It was such a small thing, but it works. And that's the thing is it doesn't have to be a very complicated move with all, cartwheel passes and, all this crazy stuff. Sometimes it's just turn the wheel. That's it. So
awesome. Well, man, appreciate it so much. Again, that we did this again. The first time it was such amazing. And then, man, I'm so sad we couldn't upload this video, but man, I thank you again. Thank you for taking time out of your day to do this, man. And I hope this inspires a lot more students, who are currently training, and those who are kind of in between, like, I really don't want to train in line, but I want to train. So, hopefully, this is going to motivate a lot more people to still keep on with training, man, because that's very important, especially with these dark times and people's mentalities and feelings are going crazy, man. Gracie Bob, we're here to change lives and make everybody better around us for a team, man.
Bring the pohada, man. Don't leave the pohada at home. You got to bring the pohada. These the pohadas from your heart, man. Let's go and train today. Let's go. Don't sit at home, guys. Don't get fat and lazy. Get out there. Do something. Get better. Do not stop. Don't let this virus take away your passion. All right? We got to do our stuff. Stay sane. Get in the class. Do the classes, man.
All right, man.
Bring the pohada, my brother.
All right, Frank. Well, thanks, man. All right, then we'll have to do this again, brother.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you for letting me be a part of it. Love you guys. Love my brothers all over.